Good day, fish tankers. Today we've got a little treat for all of you loyal subscribers and people who've been watching that I greatly appreciate. This is not a sponsored video. I haven't received any free products and I still pay for all the products I use. But Jungle Aquatics kindly reached out and they offered the viewers of this channel, obviously it's a South African company, so only applicable in South Africa, 10% discount off any purchase of their website. So go to www.jungleaquatics.com and you can get a once-off discount valid until the end of September of 10%. Or you can also just use the link that I will leave in the description and pin on the top comment. Or you can just use the code, which is my name in capital letters, DRUX. You can just use that at checkout and you can get a 10% discount on any purchase from jungleaquatics.com. Thank you so much, Jungle Aquatics, for that. It's really appreciated. It shows me that this channel is at least very slowly going in the right direction. But today I thought I'll do a video because I keep hearing the same lament on all sorts of Facebook and WhatsApp fishy groups. My plants are dying, my plants are dying. This is aimed more towards a beginner. I've done quite a few videos on what I do, which is very low tech, no CO2, unsophisticated sort of planted tanks. But I've come up with 3 reasons why your plants are dying. If you want to find out, then stick around. Now, the first reason why your plants are dying is rather obvious. It is light. All plants need light to grow. Can you have too much light? Yes, you can, because when you have too much light or light for too long a period, then you get rampant algae growth. A bit of algae, I've got some algae in my tanks, is fine, but if the algae gets out of control, it eventually covers the leaves of the plants and it chokes the plants to death because the plants are ironically not getting light. So from too much light, you then have too little light for the plants if the algae gets out of control. I always recommend start with an 8-hour photo period or a 6-hour photo period, no more than 8 hours. I usually start with 6 hours. The tank's behind me. The more intense the lighting is, the less hours you usually need. They are timed to be on for 6 hours a day. Some of my other tanks stay on as long as 10 hours, but you know, you have to feel it out and you have to understand what light intensity you have. Now, just for a quick test too, but I found this useful to determine whether you have enough light. Look at your aquarium when the room lights are switched off at night and then just look at the substrate. You want that light to penetrate about a centimeter. I'll put up what that is in inches. That's about a third of an inch, I think, into the substrate. You know, if the light still penetrates a little bit into the substrate, you know you have enough light intensity for your lower light and medium light requirement plants. Then the second thing that you need to watch out for is dark spots in your aquarium. Now you can see with my 29 gallon here, some lights are set very low onto the aquarium top for aesthetic reasons, but what that does is they spotlight and you can see there's dark edges on the front and on the back of the aquarium. This aquarium is 40 centimeters from back to front, more or less. That's 16 inches. If it was only 12 inches, 30 centimeters, you wouldn't have a spotlighting, but because the tank has got more width in it, you have it. And that is why, as you can see over here, I put 2 light bars on top. Now there you can see it gives a much better light, because before that you had these dark spots. So you've got to watch out for that. And also too many floating plants, or in my case just the trailing Vallisneria leaves across the surface, eventually shades out the plants on the bottom. So you've got to trim them down and then you can see you've got much more light, and also keep those covers clean. So that's the other thing. Now it depends what kind of tank you keep, how many lights you need, but make sure there's no dark spots. See that the light penetrates a little bit into the substrate, and then for most low light requirements or medium light requirements, you are going to be fine. And I would say start with 6 hours, ramp it out to 8 hours if needs be, but don't start at 10 hours or something, because then you're going to get algae. Now the second reason why plants die is food. People forget that plants, just like our fish, need food also. Now, if the plants are just epiphytes like Java fern or Anubias or Bucophilandra, I hope I pronounced that right, I always get confused. liquid fertilizer that you put into the aquarium water should be enough. However, that will work for stem plants as well, just liquid fertilizer. But if you're working with rooted plants, plants that have a big root system in the substrate, when they get the nutrients from the substrate, and that now I'm talking about Amazon sword plants, Vallisneria, crypts, that sort of plants, then I would suggest there's 3 ways you can get nutrients to them. The easiest but most expensive way is simply using aquaswell. I like aquaswell in the sense that you don't have to wash it. You just put it on the bottom of a tank and you're good to go. The version that I use is a lot cheaper, but it requires a bit of know-how and graft. I've made several videos now about how to do it, and that's a dirted substrate. An organic soil layer or soil layer mixture at the bottom, topped off with sand. And the third way you can do it is simply putting root tabs in either in tablet form or in stick form around the roots of your Amazon swords or Vallisneria or crypts or whatever the rooted plant case may be. Now, the third reason why plants die is CO2. Now, the easiest way is you inject CO2. Those are high-tech tanks. That's not what I do. I'm going to do it sometime in the future when I get around to it. But the plants in these low-tech aquariums behind me also require CO2 because that's what they breathe. The plants, during the day at least, take up CO2 and secrete oxygen. So where do you get that carbon dioxide from? Well, you have air in exchange. It's not oxygen or just CO2, it's air exchange on the surface of your aquarium. So I would say make sure you have some surface agitation. You can see there I put the outlet of my filter in such a way that the spray bar sort of sprays over the surface, and then it agitates that surface, and that creates gas exchange. So there can be an interchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide as well, and that will ensure that not only your fish has enough oxygen, but the plants can also have a modicum at least of CO2 in order to breathe. And the other thing is, of course, fish, when they breathe, they take up oxygen and they excrete carbon dioxide, which the plants in turn use. So I have sometimes seen that aquariums are so lightly stocked that there's like 1 or 2 tetras in a 40-gallon, and that I suspect might also be part of a problem. So don't overstock, but make sure that you have a decent amount of fish if you're not injecting CO2 to supply a bit of CO2 to a plants. So those are the 3 main reasons why plants die. It's light, it's a lack of food, and it's a lack of carbon dioxide to breathe. And I think a final bonus tip, if you guys always remember, if you have things to add or if you disagree with my assessment, please say so in the comment section. But as a bonus, almost all the plant companies these days, whether it's in vitro cups or whether they're in these little potted plants, they have labels on that says at least whether a plant is easy, medium, or hard or advanced to grow, what the light requirements are, high, medium or low, and also what the CO2 requirements are. So just do a little bit of research and just read on that label before you buy the plant, because certain plants, you're just not going to grow them with the sort of setup that I have going here behind me and downstairs in my house. Certain plants will require CO2 injection. So just think before you buy, just do that little bit of research. Just look on the label before you buy a plant, whether it's going to work in your setup. If you have a high-tech CO2 setup, you can grow basically everything depending on the size of a tank. But if you're less sophisticated like I am without the CO2, you've got to pick your plants right, because you won't be able to grow as big a variety of plants. So that's it from me, guys. Please remember to smash that like button. I greatly appreciate that. Please go to jungleaquatics.com if you're in South Africa, and go and make use of that 10% discount. Thanks again for Jungle Aquatics. And until I see you guys again, remember to subscribe and keep on taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.